Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of this video series about why and how I became a pro-life activist. If you haven't watched episode 1 and 2 yet, you might want to do that first, but welcome regardless. So in this part, I'm going to be talking about why there's a plane. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to be talking about my experience with Rock for Life and how it transformed how I view the pro-life movement and my role in the pro-life movement and what kind of inspired me to continue working in it. So this was straight out of high school, like I said, day after graduation, on a plane to Fredericksburg, Virginia, to get in a van with people I've never met before. I was the youngest person on this trip. There was only a couple of us, really. A few of us, and it was a wild time. We had some fantastic times. I learned so much about what it means to be a voice for the voiceless, truly, because we were basically talking to hundreds of people a day at these festivals who they identified as Christian, most of them, because these were Christian music festivals. And yet, a lot of them just didn't know why they were pro-life or what exactly being pro-life was. And so I learned so much about how to connect with people and how to talk to people about this issue, where they're at. And this idea of meeting people where they are and then taking them with you on this journey to find the truth together. And so I was able to meet so many people who had just really incredible stories, like the amount of people who were adopted, or their family had adopted multiple children, especially teenagers. There was a lot of families who had adopted a lot of teenagers, and we often hear that, like, if you're pro-life, why aren't you adopting all of the children, which is a fallacious argument outside of everything. But it was just interesting to see that actually Christians are, and pro-life people are, adopting children. Like, this is something that is actually happening. I would say a large percentage of the people that I talked to on this tour had adopted, or they knew someone who adopted, or they were adopted themselves. And so I think that was what stood out to me a lot about this adventure, was meeting these people with these great stories. And like I said, talking to people who were pro-life in word and pro-life in concept and theory, but not in practice, not in action, not in advocacy. And taking that belief system and that conviction to the next level was powerful. It was amazing. It was amazing to be able to show someone, the fetal models, or show them one of the drop cards that we had that outlined fetal development, or what happens in an abortion, what is RU46, what is an abortion, surgical abortion, and seeing their eyes get wide, going from, oh, hey, how are you pro-life, pro-choice, what do you think, and the person saying, oh, I'm pro-life, yeah, of course. And then trying to engage with them and saying, like, okay, well, are you involved in any local pro-life efforts, or, what are you doing? Are you doing anything about this? And it kind of goes backwards. I'm like, well, I'm not really sure, like, what really I'm supposed to do, or what is pro-life really. I just know as a Christian I'm supposed to be pro-life. And it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to take those people and show them, this is what abortion is. This is the human rights tragedy that we need to not just say we're against and move on. We need to say we're against it and make sure everyone knows that we're against it too. And make sure not only do they know that we're against it, but to persuade them and to show them why they should be against it too. And why we shouldn't just use words to explain why this is a horrific event, but that we should use our actions and to use our lives, our entire lives and our entire beings, to show the humanity of the preborn. And it was just a fantastic experience to be able to connect with this specific demographic of Christians. And not only all of that, but also to be able to promote the idea of being charitable and loving towards women who are facing unplanned pregnancy, and to women who may have chosen abortion and regret it, or don't regret it, and just women who have chosen abortion. And we get the stereotype. There's a lot of stereotypes with Christians, but one of them is that Christians hate women who have abortions, or Christians hate everyone, like they have fetal tunnel vision and they just care about fetuses and all of that stuff. And so it was great to be able to recognize the stereotype, combat the stereotype, and help people and myself, and just come to the conclusion that the best way to reach these women and the best way to reach anyone on the issue of abortion is with love and with compassion and with a heart that is open to hearing the pain and the trauma and the experience of someone who we disagree with, and to give that time and that space to allow someone to just speak to us, just as we turn to Christ to speak to him about, our most vulnerable experiences and our true hearts. We want to be the hands and feet of Christ and the ears of Christ and the hearts of Christ, to be open to hearing those stories and those experiences from people that we disagree with. So when we're talking to these individuals, as I did on this tour, and as I have done for many years since then, is learning how to just listen to people when you're talking about this issue, and listening first and asking questions and being open-hearted and open-minded before we just throw facts and just throw data and just throw the truth at someone, because love must be accompanied with truth. Truth cannot be given to someone who has a hardened heart. So we need to make sure that someone's heart is open before we just throw truth in their face and walk away. Because all they'll remember is that, wow, that pro-lifer was evil. Oh, I hate pro-lifers. They are just horrible people. The amount of times that I have had conversations with people about abortion, whether it was on this tour or it was on campus or somewhere else, where we left the conversation with not really a mind changed. The person's mind was not changed on the issue, or if it was only slightly. But they told me that, wow, you are the first pro-life person, or the first anti-abortion person to, treat me with respect and with kindness. And, or, just wow, you were really nice. This was a nice conversation. Those kind of comments. And it always blows me away, because a lot of times it's really just how we treat people that a seed can be planted. So it may not be what you're saying, but how you say it. And it may not be what you do, but who you are as a person, that people will remember after they walk away from that conversation. And you never know how your kindness and your love can impact someone who has a hardened heart and who treats evil as acceptable, and embraces abortion and embraces abortion culture, who's angry and who maybe hates you. You never know what your love in the face of that can do. And so, all of that to say that this Rock for Life Christian Music Festival tour in the summer of 2017 really opened my eyes, and it opened my heart, and it seems like, just a random event, like, oh, you were just selling. What I really was doing was I was selling pro-life t-shirts, and I was handing out pro-life stickers, and I was driving for hours in the back. I was in the backseat of this van, going for hour road trips across state lines all over the place, and, gas station pit stops, and staying with host homes, sharing beds, and all kinds of crazy, fun, wild experiences. And that's what I was physically doing. But it was those conversations that I had at these festivals with the people passing by our booth that I look back on, and I know that that's what has helped me to find my place in this movement, and know that just a conversation can make such a big difference. One person can make such a big difference. And in addition to those conversations and learning how to speak with people about this issue through this trip, I also was inspired by just the concept of using what we wear to start these dialogues with people. Because, we were selling these pro-life t-shirts and these jackets and these different hats and merchandise and whatever. And just seeing people wear them around the festival, and people would point it out and be like, oh, what is that? Like, oh, that's a cool shirt design or whatever. Like, what does that mean? Or, just having these opportunities to talk about abortion and talk about humanity and talk about why, in this context as Christians, they should care more than just, saying they're pro-life and that's one and done. And so this idea of using apparel and using what we wear to transform culture and create these dialogues wherever we go was something that very much spoke to me. And I had always had it in the back of my mind ever since then. Like, I want to be able to use my passion for art and design and fashion and clothing and style to use it for the good and use it for the truth, and to share the message of the pro-life movement with as many people as possible. And so that just stuck with me. And in a future episode, I will be talking more about where I am today with using art to propel activism forward and to share the pro-life message through unique styles that speak. But before I get to that part of the story of how I became a pro-life activist and where I am now, the fourth episode is going to be a little bit more about the in-between time between that Rock for Life tour that changed my life so much and where I am now, which we'll get to in future episodes. So stay tuned for all of that, and I'll see you in the next one.